Hey Rebel Rouser, I'm Alan Voivod and this is Star Wars 7x7, your daily dose of Star Wars joy. And thank you so much for joining me for it. So happy Life Day to you, of course, on this date in 1978. Oh my gosh, so is it 45 years? Yeah, that's crazy. 45 years ago today, the Star Wars Holiday Special debuted and the world has never been the same since. But I'm not here to talk about that today. We've done tons of episodes about that. Instead, I'm actually going to talk to you about Life Day stuff that's in this book that just came out not too long ago, Secrets of the Wookiees, and it's a very cool book. It's actually done as an in-universe book, mostly by C-3PO, but there are also some bits from other characters, and actually I'll talk about it in more detail in tomorrow's episode. But this has a section, as it should, a full 2-page spread on Life Day stuff. Actually, I guess technically speaking, it's really only the 1 page. But anyway, one of the things that it starts with is the fact that C-3PO has more than 20 million holidays, festivals, and local celebrations in his databank. So yeah, I guess those 6 million languages or whatever, nearly 7 million now. Yeah, there's not that many holidays across those different languages celebrated, or maybe it's just that there are a bunch that are in common or something like that. But according to C-3PO, he's actually passing on information from Chewbacca about Life Day, where he says that it's an annual celebration of love and unity, a time for tribes to reunite and put aside differences so that they may reflect upon their shared past and the better future they can build together, which, yeah, surprise, surprise, sounds like something we could use a bit of right now in our own galaxy right here, as opposed to far away. Anyway, it also notes that it was once only celebrated on Kashyyyk, but a multitude of other worlds embraced its meaning following the fall of the Empire, and I feel like that's also kind of the way things have happened over the last few years, that Life Day was just this sticky thing that had been invented for the holiday special, and since then, the fine folks at Lucasfilm have sort of embraced it finally and made it a thing with a Life Day cookbook and a Life Day treasury, and there was a Life Day one-shot comic a couple of years ago, which actually gets referenced in here. There's, like, this has sort of pop-up stuff in it. Like if you're familiar with the pop-up books that they've put out from time to time, this actually has some elements like that, like little little things that fold open with extra stories and extra artwork and whatnot. And one of those talks about the Life Day story that takes place in the High Republic when Chewie's father, Attichuk, was in his prime, according to this, and it tells a brief summary of how a bunch of Drengir spores ended up on Kashyyyk, and people thought they were these, like, oh, these different green light-up orbs that are really cool, and so we can decorate with that. And nope, it was making everybody feel not so great. And thankfully, Buryaga and his master were able to help deal with the spores, and everything worked out okay. And there's also a section on cherished traditions, and C-3PO recounts Chewbacca's telling of how the giant, glowing glass orbs that are hung on their tree of life. That is, by the way, a mighty Worshire tree. I've always been a little sketchy on the pronunciation. In Kashyyyk's sacred grove, and those shining spheres represent a cherished memory shared by the Wookiee families who hang them on the giant tree's boughs. And C-3PO also notes that the Wookiees don ceremonial red robes and then says, making this the only day of the year when all Wookiees are fully clothed, which I thought was a fantastic little aside. And then they join a procession, and there's an elder of arboreal light who recites words of hope and peace that have remained unchanged for thousands of years. And I like the way that this ends. It says, as the tree drums sound and the glittering globes light the sky, the Wookiees are reminded of what is most important in this life, those we share it with. And so I just wanted to share that with you on this Life Day, and I hope that as you go through your day that you are able to think of someone fondly, whether it's someone who is in your life or the people in your life. It doesn't have to be one, or people who are no longer with us. I personally lost my father-in-law last month, and that's been kind of a difficult thing, and so I'll try not to get emotional when I'm talking to you about this, but yeah, that would be, the glittering glass orb that I would be putting out today is the thought of him. So anyway, I'm so grateful that you join me for this podcast every day. So I just wanted to say Happy Life Day, share a little bit of that with you. And that's going to do it for this episode of the podcast. It just remains for me to say thank you so much for joining me for it, as always. And may the Force be with you, wherever in the world you may be.
7x7 is not endorsed or sponsored yet by Lucasfilm Limited, Disney, or 20th Century Fox, and is intended for entertainment and information purposes only. Star Wars, the Star Wars logo, all names and pictures of Star Wars characters, vehicles, and any other Star Wars related items are registered trademarks and/or copyrights of Lucasfilm Limited, or their respective trademark and copyright holders. May the Force be with them. All original content is copyrighted by Star Wars 7x7. We hope you love it.